All right. Thank you for jumping on with us today. We have our Training Day podcast. I got my man Bowen Sweeney, the beast, the genius, the fast-twitted, great response guy. Senior board member of FFL Never Settle, exploding like crazy. We were just laughing about his last 6 months. Because the last time I had you on the podcast, brother, y'all had just eclipsed about 1,200 families. And I think you reminded me that it was a 5-week month.
Yeah.
And now, you guys, this hasn't even been 6 months. And you guys have just eclipsed 2,600 families. Jesus. In 4 months, 4-week months. So, dude, there's a lot in the water. Now, when I had you on 6 months ago, I knew there was a lot in the water. You explained a lot to me. You talked about, like, you know, not having all the answers, asking questions, being humble, being hungry. Dude, and now those seeds create greatness, because those seeds, you can keep watering those seeds. They can handle more water, and they grow bigger. They sprout more. That's playing itself out. It was playing itself out then, but now you see more now. Now you have a higher business acumen now. Because at different levels, Bowen, this thing shows you more, right? Like facts. The last 6 months was like an MBA. The first 6 months, how long did it take you to get to 1,200 families?
Say just over a year.
So over a year, that was like getting your bachelor's. You know, you're learning a lot. That first time you walk on campus as a freshman, bro, you know, like I'm in a different land. Like, it's cool, it's fun, but this is different. You know, there's just more opportunity. My parents aren't here. There's a lot of, you know, pretty things. You know, there's a lot of all kinds of stuff you can get into. Clubs, they'll let you in at 18. Like, it's different. But once you get out of that and you graduate from that, you kind of know, you have a good idea to lay of the land. You're not going to grad school to learn how different it is. You're going to handle business. 1,200 families, 2,600 families is you handling business. Let's talk about this journey that you've been on to senior board member and like on the heels of executive board member, which you'll probably eclipse this month. Let's talk about this journey and what you've learned in a very short period of time over the last 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've learned the most about myself, like how I can respond, how I can handle stress, how I can keep moving, how I can keep showing up, how I can keep growing. And you hit on it. It's like, dude, you're showing up, you're doing the bachelor's, the first 1,200 families, and then it's the master's. But the one thing I wanted to take away from that is I always kept the freshman hunger and the freshman energy. I always wanted to keep, you know how you walk on campus, you're like, I got to prove myself. I got to show up. I was an athlete. So it's like, dude, I got to get on the field. I got to make a play when it's time to make a play. And I got to keep moving. And I wanted to keep that same energy, but years down the line, because that's where the growth comes from. What got us from 0 to 150, or let's say 1,500 families, the same energy got us to where we are today. And I just wanted to keep the feel of that same energy. And I was talking to some agents now. I am more nervous when I don't work now than when I first started, because now I have something. Now I have something that I care about. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to jeopardize that. And I'm extremely humble in the sense that you can lose it just as fast as you got it. And just because you got it, now, like all financial stress and worries out the window, why aren't you growing at 10 times the speed when you were in the beginning? You have nothing really to stress about. You have people that depend on you, people that are in your corner, people that are looking to you to set the pace. And I think I'll hit on this. The reason we're growing at the rate we're growing at is the people that I'm around, the people that you continue to associate yourself with. If you associate people that as soon as they're done selling, they stop talking about ways to grow this thing, ways to develop agents, ways to write more business in a month, dude, you're hanging around the wrong crowd. Because every time we're around each other, it's like, how do we 10x this thing? How are you getting new agents writing fast? How are you getting agents to believe that they can do 30, 40, 50, 60 families in a month? And those are the type of conversations that we have within our agency. And I hit on it on the last podcast. I forget what I was on, but the coolest thing about our team, Mark, is if we all walked in a room, all our leaders, you don't know who's running the ship. And I like it that way because we bring so much value to the table that way. It's not like everybody answers to me. It's like, dude, we're a collective group and nobody's leading this thing. We're all leading this thing. And I think that's the rate and that's something people want to be a part of. They don't want to be a part of like, oh, I have to listen to him. It's like, no, dude, you run your own thing. You add value to the table. You show up. You bring meat to the table. We're going to listen to you too. And I think that's what really, really propelled our growth from 1.2 to 2.6.
Dude, that's awesome. Now, I got to spend some time with you recently out in Scottsdale. I mean, and that's where I learned how quick-twitted you were, you know, and how you just nonstop, dude. That brain is moving and shaking and ahead of, and it's impressive, dude. I gotta admit, it's
creative.
It's impressive. It is creative, but it says to me a lot about you. I love what you just said about, you know, you walk in a room and no one knows who's leading the ship. I saw that in Arizona, hanging around some of you and your team, and I think like that's awesome, you know. But it's also attractive. Like, you all are attracting a lot of like-minded people that want to do well, that want to be in business with you, that want to see themselves along this journey with like-minded individuals, and it's why it feels the way it feels. But if I look at it, bro, it doesn't look like work. You know, if I'm like, you're going from 1,200 families to 2,600 families, and it just looks like fun. You know, I want to know, I think our audience would like to know, how did you build that type of culture?
Yeah, I think it starts with yourself. At the end of the day, nobody's going to want to be in business with you unless you have high energy. Like if you're moping around the office and you're like, man, charge back this, roll up that here, this sucks. But if you look for the light in every situation and you embrace it and understand, like you're going to break it, you're going to run through it, you're going to be on the other side of it before you know it, and you carry that energy and you have that mentality, dude, that's going to create an awesome culture. And then imagine getting 10 people to think the same way you do. And that's why that's what creates an attractive group. Is like when something happens, they're solid as a brick. Like nothing's going to phase them. If they wake up to a chargeback, is what it is. We understand the business. 30% of the business falls off. If you get roll up debt, that's our fault too. We didn't vet it. We didn't figure out what type of person this was. We didn't set expectations. They could work when they wanted and they were right and fraud. You know what I mean? So we take extreme ownership. We bring energy to the table every single freaking day. And if you're thinking like, that's silly, that's what grew our business. Like if you have high energy, you laugh. I was telling you, me and Kev were laughing when we were broke. Why not laugh now? We've made a little money now. Why not laugh now? So I think it's super important to understand that where you're at's temporary. You're going to face adversity. And if you think about anything you faced in your life in the last, 26 years, I faced adversity in the last 26 years of my life. But guess what, Mark? I'm on the other side of it and life's okay. And I think that's the biggest point that we try to get across. Everybody goes through stuff. But think about the worst thing you went through in your life and you're still on the other side of it.
Right.
So this business can't phase you. And if you show up with high energy and you bulletproof your mindset and you're extremely grateful every single day, like you're going to have fun with this business. Whether you wake up negative 20 grand, whether you wake up negative 100 grand or plus 100 grand, if you wake up and count your blessings and you figure out like, I'm grateful I got a roof over my head. I'm grateful I have the mindset I do and the health I do. And that's what propels us. Like we can't forget about the little things. That's what ultimately grows this business.
Dude, that's winner talk. That's extreme winner talk. Thank you. That's really good. And, you know, you said it starts with you. Like it starts with Bowen. It starts with Mark Mead, right? It starts with me. And you are setting the pace for people. You're creating an environment for people to be grateful. You're creating an environment of gratitude, which creates fun. Like when you think about the things you're grateful for as opposed to woe is me, you smile more. Your heart smiles too. It's this thing that allows for good things to continue to come in, and I see that there. So that's awesome. I would say just pour as much out of that. Like just keep pouring that on it, brother. That's gonna continue to, elevate it and help it grow. What are y'all doing right now from a recruiting standpoint to add so many agents?
Yeah. So what I do personally, I have to have a small goal because you met me, Mark. I'm all over the place. If I don't have like a goal, a plan, and action, like I'm not going to get it done. So every single day, 20 messages a day on LinkedIn, because I can sit there and I can target. I can type in sales. I can type in pest control. I can type in solar, and I can search it. But if you just type in sales, 68 million people associated with sales on LinkedIn. And if you're sending 20 messages a day, you're sending 140 a week, 560 a month. All you need to do, and I broke this down to where, because I'm a dummy, I had to make it make sense for me. So I did 16 new riders a month. You teach them how to do bare minimum 10K. That's 16 families in the first month. You do that every single month with 16 new agents in 6 months. That's 960 families in production. You write 40, you're at a. So it's like, when you think about 560 messages in a month, you're like, dang, that's a lot. When you think about 140 in a week, you're like, dang, that's a lot. When you think about it, 20 messages a day, that's extremely attainable. And you're targeting people that are already in sales. And I promise you this, Mark, and you know just as much as I do, not everybody's making money in sales. If it says sales in their background, sales in their bio, not everybody's making money. And there's plenty of people that you plug them into this business, they'll be at a before you know it. So it's like, we have to do the little things. You send the messages every single day. All I want is 16 new riders every single month direct to me. And I teach them how to do bare minimum 10 families. It comes down to how bad you want to change your life. Because we'll get on here, we'll talk about recruiting, we'll talk about the stuff people are doing. People will listen to this and they won't go and get on LinkedIn and send the messages more than a week. They won't. They won't. I'm an idiot. If I can do it, you can do it. But the only thing that I have is like, I'm disciplined. I know what I want. I know I have to sacrifice and give up and trade my time for money. And that's going to get me to where I want to go.
I'm an idiot.
Come on, baby. Come on. If I can do it, Mark.
You got the energy, bro. You got the energy, bro. Yo, you inspire me, man. Listening to you just is inspiring to me, So I definitely appreciate you. And I love it, man. Like, you dumb this thing down to a compound that you can't lose, right? The greatest thing we can do is outwork the numbers, right? And you went from, now, I used to hear it at 100 messages a month. What made you drop? I want to hear this because I know there's psychology to it. What made you drop from 100, and maybe it wasn't you, but mainly people in your group, 100 messages?
Yeah.
How did you go from 100 to 20?
So I'll be completely honest with you. When you're sending 100 messages a day, you get burnt. You're like, golly, there's a lot of messages, a lot of people to follow up with. You lose people through the cracks. You're not managing it well. So I was like, all right, let's just be more productive. Let's find a number that's sufficient, easily attainable, something that's not going to take 2-3 hours to do. So let's just knock something out real quick in the morning. And I was like, dude, 20 messages. And I started doing the math. I'm like, dude, imagine if I got 16 people just out of 560 messages. And you definitely can, but you have to do the activity. So I changed because it's like 100 messages. I was sending so many messages. I wasn't following up. My effort wasn't the same where if I'm sending 20. Yep. Like I'm gonna be more quality than quantity, working on 20 than working on 100.
I like that. And I mean, again, I asked, I kind of knew the answer. I wanted to hear you say it, but that makes sense. I mean, like, you don't want to be in a place where the cost of diminishing returns wear you out.
Yeah.
You can stay productive. The other thing you can do is you can preach productive. You can preach 20 messages. Like, that's got to be reverberating through your group pretty well. Yes or no?
Yep.
Like, if you
It's
don't do
simple.
20 messages, you don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to recruit. How many people do you think you've reverberated that through in your group that are actually actively doing 20 messages a day?
I would say not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And and it comes down to, I think, me more one-on-one time with them, because
Got it.
I was a firm believer. I saw people doing 2,000 families a month, and I'm like, dude, I can do that. Well, for some people, they're like, that's a huge goal. I don't think I could attain it. So I think if I sit here and I break it down with them that, hey, this is easier than you think. It's just going to require work, and it's going to require you enduring the stuff that sucks, and showing up on the other side, and showing up on days that you don't want to, and being consistent, persistent with it. You're going to have a lot of FUs, a lot of no's, a lot of my job's better than you. You're going to have all that stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep showing up and you keep doing it, you can get here a lot faster. So, I mean, I take extreme ownership on the reason not everybody's doing it is I got to get better at communicating it to others to where they believe that they can do it too. Because it's silly. When I came in here, I would say it. I would speak it into existence. I was like, we're going to be at 2,000 families a year and a half. Like I kept saying it, and then boom, it's happening. It's happening a lot faster than I thought. And it's so silly, but I've done that my entire life. Like I did that when I was playing football. When I showed up, there's 12 safeties, and I'm not the fastest or the most athletic. I'm like, dude, I'm going to get on the football field. I'm going to show up. I'm going to get on. I'm going to make a big play. I'm going to make it happen. And boom, it just went on, and it's worked out for me every time I've done it. And I was just consistent with it. It's like, you can't just say it once and forget about it. I was obsessed about figuring out a process that could make us profitable. I was obsessed about getting recruits over and getting them to 20, 30, 40 families a month. I was obsessed about protecting 30, 40, 50 families a month. And it's like, if you obsess over something enough, you're going to get good at it. You got to look at the best athletes in the freaking world. You can't think that they didn't think about it 24/7. How do I get better? How do I dribble faster? How do I make more baskets? How do I catch this football? And nobody sees the practice. They just see the results. Like the biggest thing you need to think of, and myself and agents, is like, dude, we have to perfect the practice and the results are going to come. We have to take the practice serious. We have to have 100% extreme ownership with the practice, and you're going to get the results, because nobody cares when you're practicing. They don't. But when you start getting results, they're like, hey, let's get him on a call. Let's have him speak about it. It's like, dude, let's hit on the practice.
Nobody cares when you're practicing. Ain't that the truth? But you care when you're practicing.
Yep.
You're not practicing, because you're bored. You're not practicing because you don't have goals. You're not practicing because you're not trying to win. That's the exact reason why you're practicing. And you know that the result's going to come.
Yeah.
And we could speak to people about them practicing, right? Because if they practice, I don't care what it is. People go, I don't know the products. Practice. I don't know the phone script. Practice. I can't go from hello to closing in a one call close. Practice. When I send 20 messages, I don't know what to say after that. Practice. Like, you're saying the very thing that produces fruit, right? When someone is saying, I don't know next, or I wish it could be like Y. What is your answer to that?
Yeah. I always tell them too, you got to be a solutionist in this business. And I think Grady was sharing with me something that Trey said, and it's like, it's not my job to train you, it's your job to learn. And that hit me deep. I'm like, dang, that's real as hell, because we'll have people that are waiting around for us, like, train me, what's next? Instead of like, how do I learn? I'm going to do this. I learned this. I watched this video. I learned this about the products. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, dude, I'm not your boss, your man. I'm your business partner. Like, you got to bring value to the table in order for us to work together. You got to get up to my speed as soon as you can. Like, you got to present 100 times this week to where you're just as good as I am on the phones. And one thing I am is I'm straight up with people. I'm just real. I always say, be mad at me when you're rich. Like, don't be mad at me now. I'm going to push you. I'll do whatever it takes to get you there, but be mad at me when you're rich. So, like, if they're like, I don't know what's next, what's this? It's like, dude, solve the problem. everybody wants to make $1 million, but nobody wants to provide any value. Like the moment you start providing value and you become an asset, that's when you start making money. But I think that's important. Like I looked in the mirror when I was making 30 grand a year, I wasn't providing much value to the marketplace. I wasn't doing the little things. I wasn't making enough calls. I wasn't developing people. I wasn't developing myself. But the moment I figured out I was the problem and I looked in the mirror and it's like, dude, you want to make a lot of money, provide a lot of value, and be effective and efficient with your work. And I think that's super important. Like most people, they're waiting to be steered or led. When we bring people on or we hire people into our business, dude, you're a leader, whether you want to or not. We're going to teach you how to build a business, but you got to come up the pace. And we're gonna talk, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna challenge each other. And I think that's what moves the needle too. Like we have to do activities that move the needle. If it's not selling, recruiting, developing, if it's not no insurance being sold, like don't stress or worry about it. That's one thing we were big on. Like if it's not moving the needle, if it's not a money-making activity, why even entertain it? Because that's not even going to help you get to where you want to go.
Makes all the sense in the world. And I love it. When you're thinking about agent development, you talk about hiring 16 and getting, people to get to 10 families a month as fast as possible, knowing some are going to do more, some are going to do right at that number. What are some things you're doing to instill in that agent or create a foundation of, hey, you're going to go out there and kill it?
Yeah. So I think just getting to know them. Like if it's cold market, make them your warm market. Spend some time with them, go out to lunch with them, get them out to you. You have to build the relationship. I think that's super important in growing this and getting people that are bought in is building the relationship. If they don't know you on more than just a business level, when it gets tough, they're not even going to talk to you. They're just going to fall out the business. But if they know you, they know how much you care, they know how much you want their goals for them, then it's going to become easier. So I think early on, I figure out like, hey, what do you want out of this? What are you trying to accomplish? What's like a set dollar amount in your mindset? And sometimes people are just like 100K and you'll just laugh. You're like, bro, you don't understand like how simple and easy that is here. And I think it's like having these real conversations before throwing them on the phones or getting them in the training. And then one thing we hit on a bunch in our agency is obviously we're young. We want to live forever. We all wish we could live forever. So it's like, why not live your best spiritual life, your best physical life, and your best life financially? And how we do that is waking up early, hitting the gym, reading, developing ourselves, and then going to work. Like if we can live those three things to our highest potential, we're going to have a pretty great life. And that's all we're trying to do. Like we're not only trying to make money, we're trying to be in our best shape physically. We're trying to be in our best state of mind spiritually. And I think that's huge. And that's something people want to be a part of. Like everybody wants to grow, but sometimes like if you're like me, 3 years ago, I'm like, how do I grow? Like what is even growing? How do I even get to where I want to go? And it's like, you just have to dive into it. You have to dive into it. You have to be resourceful. You have to research. You have to understand the insurance space. We have a guy, his first month, he protected 45 families. Second month, 50 families. He asked every question you could ask about selling, about recruiting, about training. And that's the reason he's doing that when people are taking 6-7 months to do it. So it's like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to challenge people. When I came in this business, I would say stuff that I didn't want to do out loud in front of people to where it would hold me accountable. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to smoke you this month. I'm going to write X amount. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I said that 2 weeks ago. Like, I got to finish strong. Or I'm going to be the top recruiter. I'm going to be the best trainer. I'm going to develop everybody to protect 20 families plus a month. You start saying that out loud, and then you have to hold yourself accountable. You're like, you said it. Let's see how big you are on your own word. And I took that personal.
Okay, Michael Jordan.
Come on.
And I took that personal. I love it, dude. When you start now going from developing agents to trying to develop leaders, how are you pulling them out, and what are you doing to kind of cultivate that soil?
Yeah. So one thing we're big on is leading while training. The best way I found to train, because the last 10 people I trained are protecting over 20 families a month, is lock in with them and you sell in front of them. And you get them selling, like their phone has to be ringing while your phone's ringing. And if they get on one, I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to go over there and help them. So I think we're big on relaying that to leaders. And then just we're in this leaders chat. We want more than just the money. We really care about people. We care about people's success. Like we care, and we know it's going to take sacrifice. We know it's going to take long hours, but we all leverage each other. So it's not like, what am I doing to help? It's like, what are we all doing to help each other's agents? And I think that's huge. We don't have to benefit from somebody. We don't have to make money off somebody to help them. Like we genuinely care about people winning. So I think we're all on the same page there, and we're all transparent. We run weekly calls, and it's a different manager every single week to help build his confidence in training, because this business is really simple. Like you don't have to be the best leader, the best salesperson, or the best recruiter. You just have to be the most consistent. You really do. And you have to be able to endure stuff, and you have to have high energy. And if you can do that, heck, I don't know who wouldn't want to work with you, but you have to push people. And we're big on like pushing our leaders to push their agents and finding your starting five. So I got on with 3 managers today, and I was like, hey, you guys are in assault. They're protecting 200 families a month and 300 families a month as an agency. I said, you guys are in a solid position to grow the hell out of this thing. I said, right now you have to forget about everything you have, and you have to find a new starting five. Your business doesn't need you anymore. You need a new starting five. And when that starting five gets independent, cool, you got to get a new starting five, because we got to keep growing this thing. And it's just a little goal for them to go after and develop 5 people. So like we want to get them up early. We want to get them in the gym. And one thing, like we'll get on Zoom, Mark. If you show up at 8, I'm like, hey, how was your workout this morning? You're like, I didn't go to the gym. You're like, dude, I thought you wanted to crush this business. Obviously, you got to work on mind, body, spirit, or you're going to get bodied when we get on the phones here, dialing some clients. So if you can get 5 people that are independent, selling, recruiting, developing, they don't need your help anymore. You get 5 more, and you do the same thing. It's a revolving cycle. It's like building motors. Like, boom, this motor's running, it's going, it's got full tank, it's got oil, it doesn't need me anymore. And it's like, you do that with 5, 10, 15, it just keeps rolling. And you're only going to get better from that point on. You're going to get more efficient, more effective at training. You're going to find better ways to lead and motivate. But the biggest thing is, like you said, like you have to do it in order to figure it out.
Dude, I love you, man. You deserve everything you have and everything you're going after, and the people that you're leading deserve you as a leader. I respect you and respect what you're doing, how you're doing it. Spirit, physicality, financially. It makes sense, dude. I mean, I think people, if they're listening to you close enough, you didn't say anything that was rocket science. You basically said, hey, we're going to live our best life. We're going to enjoy life. We're going to work hard. And we're going to, we respect people. We want to see people win. It's not just about the money for us, but spiritually, physically, financially, we want to go after this thing. And that's how we're going to live our best life. I think a lot of people can receive that message. It's like that's like waking up and pressing the button on the coffee machine. Like, you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And a lot of people can dig that. So I learned a lot today listening to this. I hope y'all learned a lot listening to Bowen. Dude, you're a game changer, bro. You're setting the pace. You're one of the fastest growing dudes out there, and there's a reason why. It was all said here on this podcast. So listen to this training day, Bowen, man. I appreciate you, man. I can't wait to get back around you. Your energy is contagious, brother.
Come on, baby. I appreciate you having me on, Mark. I'm excited for what we're going to finish the year. And if anybody's listening, just understand, like, it's not where you're at, it's where you're going. Hold on to that vision, that dream that people try to crush. Just hold on to that thing. It's going to happen for you. It will happen for you, but you have to trade your time and work ethic for money eventually. And then you get this thing running. You don't really have to do much anymore. It's just help people and steer them in the right direction and teach them what you did to find success early on. So I appreciate you having me on, Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening. This one you want to play back. Bowen Sweeney, cold crushing it. They're fast on their way to executive board member. Appreciate you, buddy. God bless.